Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Story series, Music of the Civil War, featuring Boogertown Gap Old Time String Band here at Anna Porter Public Library in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Give yourself a round of applause for coming, making it out tonight. Thank you all for your support. We're very excited. Our Story series was developed to preserve Appalachian culture, heritage, and history. And Boogertown Gap has actually been a great supporter, actually one of our earliest guests when we got this program started. So we're happy to have them back. I won't take too much of their time. They have deep roots here in the Smokies, performing for many years, and you can access their music from all platforms. So please check it out after you're done tonight, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Ruth Barber and Keith Watson. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Would you silence your cell phones, please?
Yeah, they
Just
didn't have
kidding.
those
You can
back
keep
then.
them on if you want to. Good evening. I'm Keith Watson, and this is Ruth Barber. We are married to each other. And
That's a good thing.
yeah, believe me, it is a good thing. So we're known as Boogertown Gap. Anybody here familiar with Boogertown, Tennessee?
Probably everybody.
I see a
in this
head
room,
shaking or
yes.
two. Okay. Well, we took that name because we had a lottery of names to name our band, and that one won. But anyway, the deeper reason is this: that my father's family moved in there from Forks of the River, which is where Sugarland's Visitor Center is now, back in the mid 1800s, before the park became a park. They weren't run out of there. They left there on purpose because it was so hard to earn a living there that they came out into Boogertown, which is probably 4 miles back this direction. Geographically, if you look at a map of Sevier County, it's right in the very center of Sevier County. But this is the kind of music that those folks grew or played while they were growing up in that community. And my father was born out there. So, and also, Boogertown was the name coined to this community during the Civil War. So it's appropriate that kind of meshes along with it. And the story of that is that during the Civil War, these group of outliers. You know what outliers are in the war? Well, they were people who did not want to go to war. They were people who had already been to war, deserted, and came home, or they moved in to be with these other people afraid of getting drafted or conscripted is what they called it back then. So a group of these outliers were roaming around in what was called Oldham, and it's still called Oldham. And one night, one of the members of this outlier group saw some eyes in the bushes and became really frightened, and he ran away. And the next day, the joke was on him because they discovered that it was a cow with his, and that became his booger. And that's the one story that everybody sort of believes that that's how Boogertown got its name, not from all of the other things that you could imagine. But anyway, so that's us, Boogertown Gap, and we play the old music that was played before radio and recording industries began to change this music and commercialize it. And so a lot of this stuff is from around the Civil War. So we're going to play through a bunch of songs and tunes tonight that you probably have never heard and don't associate with the Civil War like a lot of people would, but I think you'll find it very entertaining. And it's very informal. So if you have any questions or anything at any time, please feel free to speak up. And if you feel like hooting and hollering and dancing, well, here's a dance floor right up here for you if you want to. Because
Yes, please.
so this music goes from as sad as you can get to as happy as you can get.
Right.
And
We're going to try and cover it all.
Yeah.
So this first tune was actually written by Stephen Foster in 1840 something.
51.
1851. And he called it Angelina Baker. But it got changed during this era to Angeline the Baker. So that's what we're going to do it as.
And what's it the story about?
It's a story about a slave girl that gets sold away.
Okay.
But you won't know that with the words because they've been changed so much. That's what it was about.
2, 3, 4.
Angeline the baker, Angeline the baker's gone. She left me here to shed a tear. Don't little Sam. Never will forget her, no matter where I am. Angela the baker, Angela the baker's gone. She left me here, shed a tear, beat on the old jawbone. Angela the baker, lived on the village green. Way I always loved her, beat all you ever seen. 16 horses in my team, the leader he is blind. Pastor went to sell him, but he sold my Angela. Angela the baker, Angela the baker is gone. She left me here, shed a tear, beat on the old jawbone. Angela the baker, Angela the baker, Angela the baker, Angela the baker.
Thank you. Thank you. That sounds a little loud up here to me. How is it out there?
Instruments are fine. I can hear your vocals be a little louder.
That means get closer to the mic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
I wasn't here to check filtration.
If this changes too much, let us know. Your pickup back there. All right. Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. All right. So this next tune is called Forked Deer, and that was the name that musicians called it. During the Civil War, it took on a different name and was named after General Braxton Bragg of the Confederate Army, who, even when he won, was heard to retreat. And his soldiers always, he was very brutal to his soldiers and had a lot of discipline, and he even killed some of them. And his soldiers hated him, but he always retreated, and he liked to retreat a lot. So this tune became known by the musicians during the war as Bragg's Retreat. Hey,
Hi,
folks.
welcome.
Yeah.
Don't worry about being quiet. We're okay.
Yeah. Two. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
3, 4. Thank you.
Thank you.
So all of the soldiers thought that Bragg retreated so hastily and quickly that's why that song is so fast. Okay. So those of you who just came in, welcome. We're known as Boogertown Gap. My family goes back into these parts here for 8 generations at least. Settled in Boogertown, just a few miles behind us here in the very center of the county, and all of my relatives that lived in Boogertown at the time, all the Watsons, actually went to the Civil War, and all of them came home, at least physically anyway.
And they fought on the side of the Union.
Yes, this was a Union supported area by far.
Mm-hmm.
Sevier County was so Union, it was called Little Massachusetts. Yeah. And I only had one mortality in my family from the Civil War, and that was my great grandfather, Robert Mize, who was a part of the Union Home Guard in Sevierville during the war. Does anybody know what a Home Guard is? Those were like local police forces that sort of kept law and order while the men were away fighting the war. Now, why they didn't go, we don't know. But so they had these little home guards around that would, sort of take care of people when they were gone. And there was the home guard in Sevierville captured a bunch of Cherokee of Thomas's Legion. Thomas was a white man, and he was one of their few. He was their only white elected chief, and he started a legion of soldiers during the war called Thomas's Legion. They came over the mountain.
And they were Confederate, correct?
They were Confederate. They raided Gatlinburg a couple of times, and a bunch of them got caught and put into the courthouse in Sevierville, into jail. And Thomas heard about that, so he sent a bunch of Cherokee back and some of his other soldiers to try to rescue these people. And there was the Battle of Sevierville at the courthouse. And my great grandfather was wounded during that battle and died a few days later. That's the only mortality I know in my family. Lucky, yeah. So
Okay, you gotta switch instruments.
I am. Yeah. Anytime y'all have questions or anything, feel free to ask. Okay, because this is really informal.
So while he's getting things ready, I'll tell you a little about my ancestry in the Civil War. I had a great grandfather who was born in Juneau, Wisconsin. And when he was 9 years old, his parents told him about this war that was coming. And he had never seen an African or an African slave being in Wisconsin, but he wanted to do something about it. And so he got a can and put a string on it and some sticks and started teaching himself drum cadences. And when his father, who was the postmaster, saw that he was serious about this, he bought him a drum and the proper drumsticks. And they let him sign up with the infantry at 9 years old. That was common then because the kids played the drums and fife to do the cadences so the soldiers knew, flank left, flank right, retreat, whatever, because the opposite side would not shoot at the children. So he went all the way from Wisconsin to Louisiana before they called him home when he was 12. So if you can imagine, his formative years from 9 to 12 were fighting in the Civil War. And he went back to Wisconsin, but before he left Louisiana, he got his drum and he had all the people in his company sign the drum. And on it, he wrote, "For Mother." And he took that drum with him back to Wisconsin. And his father died, and his mother was made postmistress by President Lincoln, one of the first postmistresses in the country. And after a few years, they left there and they traveled and moved, and they ended up in Knoxville, Tennessee. And that drum is at the Tennessee Historical Museum. He played it in many, many parades in Knoxville. And when he got too old to march in the parades, he would sit on the sidewalk and play the cadences as the marching bands went by. His name was Martin Egbert Parmalee. He was an architect and he designed a lot of buildings that are in Knoxville.
Okay, another story.
So this isn't just music. This is music and stories, if you hadn't figured that out.
Songs and tunes are just that if there's no history to them, right? I mean, there's a lot more to the importance and standing of any piece of music if there's a little bit of context to it. So has anybody here ever read the book Cold Mountain or seen the movie Cold Mountain? A few of you have. Well, I recommend both. The book by Charles Frazier is probably one of the best books I've ever read in my life. I mean, it was so descriptive, full of emotion, everything, and it was a Civil War novel, a story about a man from Western North Carolina who was in the war, got wounded, sent to a hospital, and most of the story is about his travel back home from a Union prison of war camp and hospital. Um, but Charles Frazier, if you've read the book or seen the movie, you know that there was some pretty gory scenes up in the mountains of western North Carolina or eastern Tennessee that had to deal with the fiddle player and a couple of other guys who were outliers, which we discussed earlier. Those people who didn't want to go to war, who had already been to war and deserted, or who didn't want to be a participant in that kind of thing. So here in Cott County, well, Charles Frazier based his book on real life people. In Cott County, there was a Confederate home guard, and the captain of that home guard was Albert Teague. That's the same name and character that he used in the movie and his book. And Albert Teague's job was to go round up some of these outliers and deserters and take them back to court where they were disposed of either by getting put in jail, taken back to war, or whatever, punished somehow. Um, so that happened in the movie, and some guys got killed in the movie, executed. But the same thing happened here in the Smokies. Albert Teague rounded up 3 outliers from their homes in Cott County and was taking them to Waynesville, North Carolina, which was Confederate, so that they could stand trial for desertion. This was probably after the Civil War was already over. That's how slow word traveled in the mountains at that time. But as Albert Teague was marching these people to Waynesville, he was going through the Smokies, what's now the Smokies, uh, by Mount Sterling. And at Mount Sterling Gap, he stopped them and said, "This is as far as I'm taking you." And one of the guys that was with him was Henry Grooms, who had his fiddle with him. And Albert Teague asked Henry if he wanted to play one last fiddle tune. And he said, "Yes, I want to play Bonaparte's Retreat." And so the story is that he played Bonaparte's Retreat, and then, as in the movie and the book, they were all executed on the spot by Albert Teague and his group of Confederate Home Guard. So, in theory, Dolly Parton has that fiddle somewhere. Other lines of thinking have it placed somewhere else. But we're going to play Bonaparte's Retreat. Probably not the same version that they played. Nobody knows what that was, but people who were witness to that execution know that that was the tune that the fiddler played. But we're going to play our version of Bonaparte's Retreat as sort of a tribute to all of the inner workings of, in this county's Union Home Guard, Cott County Confederate Home Guard, executions, war's over, whatever, how awful war can be. So this is Bonaparte's Retreat. If I can get my fingers to work right. It might take me a time or two through, but anyway. We do have that recorded on one of our CDs by a fiddler who who plays the version that was probably played that fateful night for Henry Grooms.
Mhm.
How old you think?
It's 100 years old, so
It's about 100 years old, maybe a little
Yeah.
bit, maybe a little bit more. So you know what? This is a fiddle. Do you know what makes this different from a violin?
I do.
What is it?
A violin has strings and a fiddle has strings.
That's all it is. It's the same instrument technically. We just set it up differently to play different style of music. We often flatten the bridge down so we can play strings, multiple strings at one time. Tune it differently, maybe. Never clean the chalk off the board or anything like that.
Is that from your family?
No, this is not. It's not from my family. My family were lots of musicians, except for the ones that were my parents. They couldn't do anything except play a radio. So, but anyway, this is also called in the mountains here a devil's box because it made people want to dance. And early on in these communities, dancing was a sin. The people were so pure in their religious beliefs. They believed that. So fiddlers wanted to keep playing music, so they didn't want to be influenced by the devil or be caught playing the devil's box. So they would put something inside of their fiddle, which they believed would keep the devil out. I've got one in mind. Anybody know what you put inside of a fiddle to keep the devil out? Nope. And it's not a cross.
Okra.
Okra. This guy here does not like okra. He's from the north. I met another person from the north who didn't like okra, and we offered to give him some one day in exchange for a bunch of firewood that we got from his property. We said, "You want some okra?" He said, "God, no." No wonder y'all lost the war. Anyway, so what do you put inside a fiddle?
An acorn?
No?
Hear it rattling around?
Hint. No?
Hear it rattling around?
A rattlesnake rattle. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that keeps the devil out.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a neat.
Who knows the logic behind that? I don't really know. So, yeah. Anyway, so I got another tune later. If y'all have any more questions about it, you can ask them.
All right, this next song is a ballad, and it depends on which direction your research takes you as to how old this song actually is. Some of what I found said it was sung during the Civil War, but it was made popular in the folk revival by Peter, Paul, and Mary. And I know some of you remember them. And Peter, Paul, and Mary ended the song with a happy verse, but that was not the end of the song. So we have found the last verse, and I've added another half verse on the end just to kind of bring it full circle. It's called The Cruel War. A cruel war is raging. Johnny has to fight, and I want to be with him from morning till night. I want to be with him. It grieves my heart so. Won't you let me go with you? No, my love, no. Tomorrow is Sunday. Monday is the day that your captain will call you, and you must obey. Your captain will call you. It grieves my heart so. Won't you let me go with you? No, my love, no. I'll tie back my hair, men's clothing I'll put on, and I'll pass as your comrade as we march along. I'll pass as your comrade. It grieves my heart so. Won't you let yes, my love, yes. They marched into battle. She never left his side till a bullet did strike her and love was denied. A bullet did strike her. Tears filled Johnny's eyes as he knelt down beside her. She silently died. He knelt down beside her. It grieved his heart so. Won't you let me go with you? No, my love, no. Thank you. So it was illegal for women to be soldiers in the Civil War, but over 100 of them did it anyway. They dressed as men and they marched into battle because most of them could shoot a gun just as well as the men could. But they also went as nurses, cooks, prostitutes, and whatever else might be needed. So there were women very involved in all aspects of the Civil War. All righty.
You want to move on to another one? Because we've already done 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Or do you want to just keep going?
We could do a short version of that because I brought the instrument.
All right.
So people used whatever they could to make music. And a lot of soldiers actually took their fiddles with them if they happened to have one. But they would also use an instrument I sang about earlier called the jawbone, which was actually the jaw of a dead animal, a horse or an oxen or something, because once the animal was dead and the flesh was gone, you could shake it like a rattle. They would also use drums and fifes. And sometimes the banjo players would sabotage the drum of the drummer so that they would throw it away, and then he'd cut it in half and make a banjo out of it.
Because it looks like a half a drum, right? Yeah. They did that a lot, yeah.
And you also had to do laundry during the war. So there was that washboard around. So we're going to do just a little short version of the Yellow Rose of Texas.
Anybody know what a yellow rose of Texas is? Nobody. Wow. Okay.
The Yellow Rose? Well, I've heard the song.
You've heard the song. It's a woman of mixed breed, usually American and Mexican, so that her skin was kind of yellow. And this particular Yellow Rose of Texas was the one that was paid to keep Santa Anna busy during one of his battles. She was a Yellow Rose of Texas.
Okay.
So this is an instrumental version, and we'll play for it a few times. Yeah. 4. So another really interesting historical piece about the banjo is that during the Civil War, banjos did not have frets on them. They didn't get frets put on them until the 1880s. And there's still a lot of people who play fretless banjos. I have a bunch of them too. And if you watch movies like Andersonville, which is a movie about the Civil War prisoner of war camp, you'll see some banjo playing in that where they're playing pretty accurate replicas of what kind of banjo had been played back then. And the other really cool thing is that as this sort of national war revolved around the issue of states' rights and slavery, that it that most of the banjo playing up until probably the early 1900s was the style that I'm playing called clawhammer. Slaves taught this to our American ancestors in the early 1830s and 40s. And so this old style of playing kind of hung out here throughout the mountains in rural areas because it had a lot more rhythm to it than the more urban, later coming bluegrass styles. So,
Okay. So now for a story.
uh-oh.
This is right before the Civil War. Mountains of western North Carolina. There's a young man. He's 17 years old and he's a fiddler. And he also fiddles around because he has a girlfriend and she's an old married woman of 14 and her name is Mrs. Annie Foster Melton. Well, the Civil War broke out and this young man took off and was gone for 3 years. And when he came back, he took right back up with Mrs. Annie Foster Melton where he'd left off. And she said, "You know, I don't want my husband to get suspicious. So I think you ought to take up with my cousin Pearline." That's spelled Pauline, Pearline. Well, he thought that was a fine idea. And then he took up with their other cousin, Laurie. In
Busy
fact,
fella.
well, yeah, he was a busy fella. So one day, he and Laurie, he and Laurie decided to get married. So Laurie tells Annie that she and this young man are going across the mountain to Tennessee and get married. And that's the last time anybody saw Laurie alive. Her horse came back riderless. Her body was later found in a shallow grave wearing shoes that had been made by Mr. Melton, the town cobbler. Well, Annie confessed to the murder. She said, "Yeah, I killed her, but they'll never put a rope around my pretty little neck." And she was right, and they let her go. And Pearline was one of those people that liked to be in on whatever drama was going on, so she confessed to the murder. But she couldn't give them any details, so they had to let her go. Well, this young man knew the heat would be on him, so he took off across the mountain, came to Tennessee, got himself a job working on a farm. Well, eventually, Sheriff Grayson caught up with him, hauled him back to North Carolina in 1866, and he sat in a jail cell for 2 long years, always professing his innocence. And this is reportedly the song he was heard singing from his jail cell before they took him to the gallows in 1868. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, hang down your head and cry. You killed little Laurie Foster, you know you're bound to die. You took her on the hillside for to make of her your wife. You took her on the hillside and there you took her life. You dug a grave 4 feet long, you dug it 3 feet deep, and rolled the cold clay over her and tromped it with your feet. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, hang down your head and cry. You killed little Laurie Foster, you know you're bound to die.
Bound to die.
I know they're gonna hang me, tomorrow I'll be dead. Though I never even harmed a hair of poor little Laurie's head. In this world and one more, reckon where I'd be. If it weren't for Sheriff Grayson, I'd be in Tennessee. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, hang down your head and cry. You killed little Laurie Foster, and now you're bound to die. Take my fiddle off the wall and play it all you please. For at this time tomorrow it'll be of no use to me. At this time tomorrow, reckon where I'll be. Down in some lonesome holler, hanging from a white oak tree. down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. You killed little Laurie Foster. You know you're bound to die. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. You killed little Laurie Foster. You know you're bound to die. Thank you. And now, as Paul Harvey would say, for the rest of the story. So part of the story takes us back to the Civil War, where Tom Dooley and Mr. Melton were in the same prison camp at, what was it called?
Point Lookout.
Point Lookout in Maryland. And at Point Lookout, Maryland, there were over 50,000 prisoners, and a lot of them died.
In 2.5 years,
Yeah.
there were 50,000 men went through that camp.
But also, I don't know if Mr. Melton and his wife divorced or if he died, but eventually she married Sheriff Grayson. And when she was 35, she was in an ox cart accident and she didn't die right away. So while she was on her deathbed, she asked to see her husband and she wanted to speak to him privately. Nobody knows what she told him, but after she died, he went mad. So most people think that she confessed that she was the one who killed her cousin Laurie. And that's the rest of the story.
If you want to read a really good account of this historical event, Sharon McCrum has a novel out called The Ballad of Tom Dooley. And she did all kinds of excellent research and pieced this whole story together. So it's really good. You get your own insights into what really happened.
I did my own research and I don't agree with everything she came up with, but that's okay. So
I live with that.
a lot of what the Civil War was about was slavery. So we're going to do a couple of songs now that were sung by the slaves in the era preceding the Civil War. And this first one is called Motherless Child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home, a long way from home. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost done. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost done. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost done. So far from my home, so far from my home. True believer, true believer, a long way from home. Thank you. So that one was rather mournful. This next one is about hope and resistance. And a lot of the old African spirituals were religious songs, but a lot of them were actually code about how to travel the Underground Railroad to freedom. And I had an ancestor in Indiana who was an architect, and he built a house with hidden rooms and fake walls and stairwells, and he helped a lot of people to freedom through the Underground Railroad. And that house was still standing in the 1980s, but I think it's since been taken down. So a lot of the songs, like I said, were about how to travel the Underground Railroad. like Follow the Drinking Gourd, and that's about following the North Star, finding the Big Dipper and following the North Star. This one's about hope and resistance. It's called Mary, Don't You Weep. If I could, I surely would stand on the rock where Moses stood, singing Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Now Mary wore 3 links of chain. Every link was freedom's name. Singing Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you moan. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you moan. Singing Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. One of these nights about 12 o'clock, this old world's gonna reel and rock. Singing Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Now when I get to heaven, gonna scream and shout. Ain't anybody there for to turn me out. Singing Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you moan. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you moan. Singing Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Moses stood on the Red Sea shore, smoting the water with the 2x4, singing Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Now God gave no other rainbow sign, no more water but fire next time, singing Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you moan. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you moan. A singing Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep.
Ooh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Shifting gears completely.
Didn't Monty Python say that once? And now for something completely different. Yes.
So, like I said earlier, folks would use whatever they had to make music. Sometimes it might have been spoons right off the dinner table. So we're going to do a tune called Fisher's Hornpipe. It was a common tune in England, and it was often used over here as a wedding march or as a war march. They didn't get that one.
Oh, Lordy.
Thank you. That's the fun part of the evening. Now we're gonna lighten things up. We won't let y'all leave all sad. Are you
This-
gonna do that one?
Yep, this next tune is called Elzic's Farewell, and it was written by a Kentucky fiddler right after the Civil War for his mother, who he had learned was on her deathbed in West Virginia. His name was Elswick, Elswick. And over the years, it got corrupted to Elzix, Elzics. But anyway, this is his farewell tune to her as she lay on her deathbed. And I'm going to tune to a different tuning now called sawmill tuning. Which is kind of mournful sounding. And this is the sound that most people think of when they hear the terms mountain banjo, right? This old haunting tuning. We don't know why it's called sawmill because it doesn't sound like any sawmill I've ever heard. But this is Elzic's Farewell. There was some good written music back then, wasn't there?
Mhm.
Yeah. It's really struck us deeply, that's for sure. Okay, now I'm going into another tuning. This is another major tuning.
And this tune was an old fiddle tune that we figure must have been written by a Southern fiddler because the name of it is Booth Shot Lincoln. And it's a happy tune.
And the reason I retune is because I play, try to follow the old traditional way of picking, and back during the Civil War and even up until the 1880s when there weren't frets on banjos, you couldn't put a capo on a banjo because you didn't know where to put one, right? So anytime that a banjo player had to change a musical key to accommodate a singer or a fiddler, they had to retune, which is what I do too. And it's a lot easier to play a banjo down here.
Booth Shot Lincoln.
Booth Shot Lincoln.
This will probably have to be retuned, but that's okay.
Sounds like it.
I just retuned it. Okay. So most companies had at least one person who could read or write, because most of the men in the Civil War, especially in the Confederacy, were illiterate. But there was usually one who could read their letters from home and write them letters. And there were a lot of Irish people in the Civil War. And they would identify with each other and call each other Brother Green. And this is a ballad I've only found two versions of. Usually I can find several. There's a northern version and a southern version. In the northern version, the soldier is married and has two daughters. In the southern version, he has a girlfriend and two sisters. So I'm going to do the southern version of Brother Green, and I hope I can get through it. Pardon me if I close my eyes. Oh, Brother Green, please come to me, for I am shot and bleeding. Dear brother, stay and put me away, and write my love a letter. She's prayed for me, and now her prayers are answered, that I might be prepared to die if I should fall in battle. The northern foe has laid me low on this cold ground to suffer, and now to heaven I will fly and meet my dear old mother. I have one brother in this wide world. He's fighting for the Union, but oh my love, I've lost my life, and I shall die a Southerner. Go tell my love she must not weep. Go kiss my little sisters, for they will call their brother in vain when I am up in heaven. My darling girl that I love so well, if I could once more see her, that I might bid a sweet farewell till we meet again in heaven. Oh, Brother Green, please come to me, for I am shot and bleeding. Dear brother, stay and put me away, and write my love a letter. Thank you. Thank you. I have to close my eyes so I can remember all the verses.
She's got it written under
Oh, my. But I have read in several places that there were more Irish slaves than African slaves in this country, because the Irish slaves were cheaper, and they were mostly women and children, and they were quite expendable because they were cheaper. They couldn't handle the heat of the South. And so someone came up with the bright idea, well, let's breed them. So they would breed an African man with an Irish woman and create the mulattoes. Well, the slave traders got really upset because that cut in on their profit. And so there was a stop put to that eventually. Some bill was passed or something. But yeah, so there were a lot of Irish. We both have Irish ancestry. So we're going to do one more Irish tune. And this one comes to us from the early 1800s. And it's about a real war, the war between Spain and France and England, and a whole mess over there. And there was a famous battle on the 5th of May. The English didn't want to send their own boys to war, so they would go to Ireland and conscript all the Irish men and boys. And in this case, this is Mrs. McGraw. Her husband and sons have all already been killed except for one, and here comes the sergeant to take her last son to war. And he's in the battle on the 5th of May. Now, this is a sing-along. And it's also called, I have so many verses, I have to have help. And Keith has to have help. So, what'd you do with our sing-along sheets?
Let me say one thing more about the tune that Ruth just sang, Brother Green. On our CD, our sound engineer, Mr. Gordon Brugman, right here, stand up real quick, came over to our house down here in Emmert's Cove when we lived down there, and recorded katydids and crickets and whatever night sounds there were. So behind that tune on our CD is Gordon's recording of all those night insects. It sounds really cool. That was such a special night. Timmy Roo Dom. Ruth will get it for you.
Okay, so it goes like this. Timmy Roo Dom Da, Bottle Diddle Raw, whack for the fiddle, Timmy Roo Dom Da. Got it? Goes like this. Timmy Roo Dom Da, Bottle Diddle Raw, whack for the fiddle, Timmy Roo Dom Da. So after about the 12th time, you'll get it. Okay?
And you better get it by then because there's only 13 verses. Maybe there is 13, 14, 15. 1, 2, 3,
So this was used as a marching song
10, 11.
in the
There's only 12.
in wars in Europe, but also in the Civil War. The Irish, as I said, the Irish soldiers were often in a company together, and this was one of their marching songs. It's an anti-war song. It's
Great.
considered the first anti-war song. I gotta have a little more guitar. Oh, Mrs. McGraw, the sergeant said, would you like a soldier of yours, son Ted, with a scarlet coat and a fine cocked hat? Now, Mrs. McGraw, wouldn't you like that? Timmy Roo Dom Da, Bottle Diddle Raw, whack for the fiddle, Timmy Roo Dom Da. Now Mrs. McGraw lived on the shore, and after 7 long years or more, she spied a ship sailing into the bay with her son Ted from far away. Timmy Roo Dom Da, Bottle Diddle Raw, whack for the fiddle, Timmy Roo Dom Da. Oh, Captain dear, where have you been? You've been sailing on the Mediterranean. Oh, have you any tidings of my son Ted? Is he alive or is he dead? Timmy Roo Dom Da, Bottle Diddle Raw, whack for the fiddle, Timmy Roo Dom Da. And down comes Ted without any legs, and in their place 2 wooden pegs. She kissed him a dozen times or 2, saying, Holy Moses, tidn't you, Timmy Roo Dom Da, Bottle Diddle Raw, whack for the fiddle, Timmy Roo Dom Da. Oh, Teddy, me boy, the widow cried, your 2 fine legs were your mama's pride. These stumps of a tree won't do it all. Why didn't you run from the cannonball? Timmy Roo Dom Da, Bottle Diddle Raw, whack for the fiddle, Timmy Roo Dom Da. Oh, were you drunk or were you blind when you left your 2 fine legs behind? Or was it sailing on the sea? Wore your 2 fine legs right down to the knee? Timmy Roo Dom Da, Bottle Diddle Raw, whack for the fiddle, Timmy Roo Dom Da. No, I wasn't drunk and I wasn't blind when I left my 2 fine legs behind. But a cannonball on the 5th of May blew my 2 fine legs from the knees away. Timmy Roo Dom Da, Bottle Diddle Raw, whack for the fiddle, Timmy Roo Dom Da. Of foreign wars I do proclaim, they're born of blood and a mother's pain. For I'd rather my Teddy as he used to be than the King of England and his whole navy. Timmy Roo Dom Da, Bottle Diddle Raw, whack for the fiddle, Timmy Roo Dom Da. War is bloody and war is cruel. They made me break every vow and rule. And now I'm walking with my hands, 'cause I left my legs in a foreign land. Timmy Roo Dom Da, Bottle Diddle Raw, whack for the fiddle, Timmy Roo Dom Da. Oh, my son Ted was tall and slim, and he had a leg for every limb. But now he's got no legs at all, for he lost that race with the cannonball. Timmy Roo-dum-da, bought a little rock, whack for the fiddle. Timmy Roo-dum-da, Timmy Roo-dum-da, bought a little rock, whack for the fiddle. Timmy Roo-dum-da.
Oh, thank
Thank you.
you.
So you can see that was kind of a call and response kind of thing that they would march to. There's more verses, but that's okay. Whew. All right, we got to do another fiddle tune and a couple of sing-alongs. And I tell you, y'all were the best sing-alongs I've had doing this. I've done it a few times at Wilderness Wildlife Week and a few other places. Which, by the way, we will not be at Wilderness Wildlife Week this year. They moved the dates to early January. We're going to be in Florida.
This is an old tune called Soldier's Joy, and it's probably one of the first tune that anybody that plays folk music, even back in the old days, learned, because it is so old. Parts of this tune are over 500 years old. It got modified into a folk tune for the Revolutionary War and was played a lot during the Civil War. And in contemporary times, it's one of the first tunes that we all learned, and this is probably the third one that I learned. It's called Soldier's Joy, or Payday in the Army, and the lyrics describe what soldiers did with their pay in the army. But we don't sing about that, okay?
We sing about a little of it.
We allude to that. What?
They sent it home to mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, there were stores that followed the camps, and back then, cocaine and morphine were cheaper than beer.
You could buy it across the counter. It was an unrestricted substance. But so if you knew the kind of people who followed Civil War armies around, then you know what kind of people.
It was mentioned earlier.
What you did with your payday.
Right. But this tune has been used in a lot of old Civil War movies and old Westerns, especially if there's a saloon scene or a dance scene, then you probably have heard this song. So. I am my mama's darling boy, I am my mama's darling boy, I am my mama's darling boy. Play a little tune called Soldier's Joy. I love somebody, yes I do. I love somebody, yes I do. I love somebody, yes I do. I love somebody, and it might be you. 'Grasshopper sitting on a sweet potato vine, grasshopper sitting on a sweet potato vine, grasshopper sitting on a sweet potato vine. Along comes a chicken and says, "You're mine." Chicken, chicken out dog, granny just won't bite out. Ladies just sing and gents take the air. Hold her near, don't let her rear. $0.15 for the morphine, 25 cents for the morphine. 15 cents for the morphine. Lord, take me away from here. I am my mama's darling boy. I am my mama's darling boy. I am my mama's darling boy. Play a little tune called Soldier's Joy. Thank you. Okay, I think we've got time for 3 more and a little bit of trivia. So during the Civil War, the supply lines were cut off to the south. So they couldn't get medical supplies. One of the medical supplies they really needed was surgical thread. They couldn't get it. So what do? How can we sew up these soldiers? What is strong enough? Because cotton thread certainly wasn't strong enough. So somebody had the bright idea, let's take horsetail hair, but it's too stiff, so let's boil it to soften it. The process of boiling it sterilized it unknowingly, where in the North, they're just passing the thread around bloody hand to bloody hand. There were a lot fewer infections in the South than in the North due to the boiling of the horsetail for thread that ran out. It's amazing the funny little things you can learn.
About 2/3 of all Civil War casualties were from disease rather than bullets and cannons and things like that. It was really sad.
Yeah, and Henry, or what's his name, Melton in the Tom Dooley song, he was wounded at least 3 times.
Yep.
And they took him from the hospital to the Point Lookout prison camp.
Does anybody know who John Brown was in relationship to the Civil War? Okay.
I was going to skip
My
that.
parents are from the town next door, up in Pennsylvania.
Okay, cool. And what town is that?
That would be up in Erie County, Pennsylvania,
Okay.
outside of Meadville.
Meadville.
Outside of Meadville.
Okay.
It was a religious community of, I don't want to say like Pennsylvania Dutch. The Knickerbockers are very strict religious.
Right.
Church. The whole town is the same church, I think.
Okay, cool. Well, whatever drove John Brown to his beliefs, he was an abolitionist, was involved in several Kansas uprisings before the Civil War, and in 1859, he actually conducted a raid on Harper's Ferry Arsenal in Virginia. It's West Virginia now. That was the only state that split during the Civil War. And he was going to arm the slave rebellion with weapons from the arsenal. Of course, he didn't make it. And he bragged about it beforehand. They knew he was going to try this someday, and somebody told him it was suicide. And he said, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And he did. He got caught. And he got marched to the gallows, and he was hung in 1859, I think, same year. And of course, there has to be a tune about that, right?
Who fought him?
The feds.
No, it was General Lee.
General Lee. Oh, that's right. It was General Lee. That's right. Yeah, he was the General Lee was the most successful general in the entire for the U.S. at that time. That's right. Yeah, a lot of the Confederate generals were West Point graduates and worked for the federal government at the time. You're right. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, John Brown's March.
This is his march to the gallows. Thank you. And if you play that tune faster, it's known as Sherman's March Through Georgia.
It's,
All right, it was
It's
not
true.
uncommon for people, soldiers from opposite sides, to play music together at night across the river or across the battlefield. They would often sing hymns together and then in the morning get up and shoot each other. But this is one of those songs that was really popular, and you all know it, so we're not even going to tell you. We're just going to ask you to sing along.
and it's played on an authentic looking fretless banjo in the movie Andersonville.
Yeah, back to the movie Andersonville.
Yeah. 4.
As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a pretty girl I chanced to meet and danced by the light of the moon.
Oh, Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight? Come out tonight, come out tonight. Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight and dance by the light of the moon? I asked her if she'd have some talk, have some talk, have some talk. Her feet covered up the whole sidewalk, and we danced by the light of the moon. Oh, Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight? Come out tonight, come out tonight. Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight and dance by the light of the moon? I danced with a girl with a hole in her stocking and her knees kept a knocking and her hips kept a rocking. I danced with a girl with a hole in her stocking and we danced by the light of the moon. Oh, Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight? Come out tonight, come out tonight. Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight and dance by the light of the moon? I danced with a girl with a wooden leg, wooden leg, wooden leg. I guess that's the reason they called her Peg, and we danced by the light of the moon. Oh, Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight? Come out tonight, come out tonight. Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight and dance by the light of the moon? I'd like to make that gal my wife, gal my wife, gal my wife. We'd be happy all our lives and we dance by the light of the moon. Oh, Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight? Come out tonight, come out tonight. Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight and dance by the light of the moon? Thank you. Thank you. So the soldiers would often sing about their hometown and instead of saying Buffalo gals, they might say Knoxville gals or whatever else, wherever they might be from. Yeah.
Okay, 1 or 2 more.
We can do 2 more. We started a little bit late
Okay.
this time, so it's y'all good for 2 more? Okay. All right.
Okay.
Good.
Another sing along, and this one was sung on both sides, and it was to lift each other's spirits. It was written by Stephen Foster. He probably made about 14 cents for it. But you all know this one, so sing along again, please. We like hearing your voices.
I get it in a minute.
I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. I'm going to Louisiana, my true love for to see. It rained all night the day I left, the weather was so dry. The sun so hot I froze myself. Susanna, don't you cry.
Everybody.
Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me. For I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Now, how many know the second verse? I had a dream the other night when everything was still. I dreamed I saw Susanna coming down the hill. A buckwheat cake was in her mouth, a tear was in her eye. I said I come from Dixieland, Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me. For I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. I'll fall upon the ground. But if I do not find her, then I shall surely die. And when I'm dead and buried, Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me, for I come from Alabama with the banjo on my knee. When I was a little girl, I didn't know what a banjo was or think I'd marry a banjo player. So this is how I sang the song, and my mama, God rest her soul, wrote it down. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me, for I come from Alabama with the Band-Aid on my knee. Thank you. Thank you, and that is a true story. I had lots of Band-Aids. Okay, well, we thank you all for joining us tonight. It's been wonderful. Thank you all for having us here again. We're going to do one more song, lighten the mood, and have y'all sing along. But this came after the Civil War and slavery was abolished. They had to figure out how they were going to have free labor on all these southern plantations. So they had all kinds of laws against the African people, and they would arrest them and put them on chain gangs, which was worse than slavery. So these plantation owners could go to the prison and just get a bunch of inmates in chains and make them work. Well, they would sing while they worked. A lot of times help them keep rhythm, help lift their spirits. And this song came from when they were building the very first levees on the Mississippi River. It was known as Sweet Thing. Over the years, it changed, became known as Sugar Babe, which is what we call it on our Fried Okra CD. And later on, it became known as White Man's Blues. But you all know it as something else, so sing along. You get a line and I'll get a pole, honey.
Honey,
You get a line and I'll get a pole, babe.
sugar babe,
You get a line and I'll get a pole. We'll go down to the crawdad hole, honey. Baby mine. Yonder comes a man with a sack on his back, honey.
say what?
Yonder comes a man with a sack on his back, babe.
Is it Santa
Yonder
Claus?
comes a man with a sack on his back. Got all the crawdads he can pack.
Oh, he's got crawdads.
Baby mine.
Must be Crawdad Claus.
What you gonna do if the creek runs dry, honey?
Honey,
What you gonna do if the creek runs dry, babe?
Lord, I don't know what we gonna
What you gonna
do.
do if the creek runs dry?
Sit on the bank and drink moonshine, honey,
Baby mine. What you gonna do when the meat's all gone, honey?
honey.
What you gonna do when the meat's all gone, babe?
I'm gonna eat some fried
What you gonna
okra.
do when the meat's all gone? Sit on the bank and on the bone, honey. Baby mine.
She sure asks a lot of questions, doesn't she?
Well, here's one more question for you, honey.
Alrighty.
What you gonna do when the weather gets cold, honey?
Uh-oh.
What you gonna do when the weather gets cold, babe?
Let's snuggle
What
up.
you gonna do when the weather gets cold? Make like a groundhog and find you a hole.
Oh!
Baby mine.
That ain't right, is it?
You get a line and I'll get a pole, honey.
I want to snuggle.
You get a line and I'll get a pole, babe.
Snuggle, snuggle,
You get a line
snuggle.
and I'll get a pole. We'll go down to the crawdad hole, honey. Baby mine. One more time, everybody sing.
Help us out now.
You get a line and I'll get a pole, honey, honey. You get a line and I'll get a pole, babe.
Sugar babe.
You get a line and I'll get a pole. We'll come down to the crawdad hole, honey. Baby mine.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you,
Thank you, thank you, thank you. If y'all want to come up and ask us any questions or look at our CDs or anything, feel free to. We're going to be here a little while. Packing
Yeah, I
up.
wanna know what's inside your banjo.
What's inside my banjo? It's a strap.
I saw it from the front. I thought,
Yeah.
The rest of the rattlesnake.
Well, sometimes this thing is really loud, and so I put something in there to dampen the sound a little bit, and that does the trick. So, good observation. Did anybody have any questions?
His family's from Boogertown. Yeah, it's just right back that way. It's in the center of the county, and there's a pass through the mountains between Kings Branch and Oldham, and that pass is called Boogertown Gap.
It's actually on the USGS, U.S. Geological Survey quadrat maps as Boogertown Gap. But there's 4 other gaps to get into Boogertown. And once you get there, you can't go anywhere but out.
But none of the other gaps are named.
One's on Glades Road, one's on Oldham Creek Road, one's on Powder Mill Road, and the other one is on Boogertown Road. Boogertown Road.
No,
What's-
not anymore. It's just a community, a rural community.
But probably less than 100.
A lot of rental cabins,
But
a
it
few
prob-
cows, and
yeah.
a church.
It probably had a few hundred at one time. There were several small general stores in the area. My family operated one, and I have one of their ledgers from the 1920s from that general store. And there were several small little tub mills along Oldham's Creek and stuff where they used to grind whatever grain they had. Too. So it was a nice little community for a while. If you've ever seen or read the book Dory, Woman of the Mountains, she is my she's a half cousin of mine. Her brother Luther married my dad's sister Willie Woodruff, and they all lived in Boogertown. The Woodruffs came over from, or the Copes came over from Cherokee across, believe it or not, Dry Sluice Gap by Charlie's Bunyan. I don't know how they did that back then, but they lived in Boogertown for a while, grew lots of apple trees, and they all got to know each other and lived around it.
And had lots of children.
Dory, D-O-R-I-E, Woman of the Mountains. It's a great story.
Surely
It's
you all
written
have
by her
that one.
daughter.
Dory, Woman of the Mountains. Y'all have that book here? Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
worth reading.
And in there, she talks about this little red-haired teacher from Boogertown. That was my Aunt Willie. Anyway, any other questions about our music, the instruments, or anything? All right. Well, thank you all
for
very much.
coming.
Appreciate it.